question that we can discuss upon at this point in time. And this pandemic has been really a kind of unimagined situation and unprecedented. If you're not feeling okay at this point in time, we are all, going through ups and downs. Mental illness has a lot of stigma. National Mental Health Survey that NIMHANS carried out all over India, we know that more than 10%, close to 10% people in our country are experiencing depression. A productive time loss that happens if an individual is having any sorts of illness, and more so mental illness. So it's called as DALO. Now, where does music come into picture? Music, like how we discussed last time in our previous episode, it's a very strong elicitor of emotion. Shown that they've reported that people started listening to music much more during this lockdown period and used that as to help them to regulate their emotion. In toto, about how do we build this resilience in.
Welcome back to my channel, Dr. Shantala Hegde. It's always great speaking to you. You shared with all of us the relationship between brain and music, and it was really well received. Thank you for that wonderful words of wisdom from your side. In today's episode, I wanted to talk specifically about the mental health issues that uh, most of us are facing today with the continued pandemic. There was the first wave in India, there's a second wave now, and they're predicting third, and so on and so forth. But one of the things is people's mental health has taken a big beating, because a lot of them, irrespective of the ages, are undergoing some kind of mental health issues, and that seems to also have an effect on their physical health. So since you head the cognition lab, and you yourself are a trained musician, Dr. Shantala Hegde, uh, what is the relationship, or more than the relationship, let me ask you, does music have an impact uh, for addressing the mental health issues?
Hello, Sujata. Thank you for having me back. And I think that's the most pertinent kind of question that we can discuss upon at this point in time. And this pandemic has been really a kind of unimagined situation, an unprecedented one, as we all have kind of going through very difficult times. And the first wave, yes, it was the first shock that we all received, and the lockdown brought out a lot of issues. But I think the second wave was also pretty cruel, in the sense the number of cases, and I think many people lost their kith and kin, closed dear ones, and it's not been easy. So in that sense, I keep telling people that it's okay if you're not feeling okay at this point in time. We are all, going through ups and downs, and these are really challenging times. And if we are feeling low at this point in time, it doesn't mean, we are weak, we are mentally imbalanced, we are mentally ill. So people, in fact, already mental illness has a lot of stigma, and during these times, I think it's very, very important to keep repeating and underscoring the point that people should feel comfortable to talk about their um, concerns, their emotions, what they're going through, to at least to somebody else. And it's okay if you're not feeling okay. That's what I keep telling. Coming to this issue of mental health, I think you brought out a very important issue. Mental health has been a major concern. In fact, health professionals, policymakers have been talking about the need to focus on mental health in general. And the last National Mental Health Survey that NIMHANS carried out all over India, we know that more than 10%, or close to 10% people in our country are experiencing depression. It's a large number. And of course, the severe mental conditions, severe psychiatric conditions are few in number relatively, but they're all important because they have an impact on the person's overall functioning. Now, let's say, why should depression become such a big issue? Is because if somebody is feeling low, it has an impact on their occupational functioning, it has an impact on their interpersonal functioning, it has an impact on the way they can contribute back to the society. So, organizations like WHO or any policymakers would look at this, how much time that is lost because of the illness, a productive time loss that happens if an individual is having any sorts of illness, and more so mental illness. So it's called as DALY, DALY. um, so mental illnesses are one of the chief concerns. Now, coming to this pandemic, this lockdown, it has only kind of challenged people as to how resilient we are. We have never experienced such a situation over the last 100 years, as we all know. And it's like questioning how resilient we are. So many people have reacted to this phase of lockdown, this phase of pandemic differently, depending on their um, ability to cope with these emotionally challenging times. So some may have really felt low, some may have actually felt, oh, finally I'm getting some time for myself. So each person may react differently, but more or less, as I'm saying, these have been really tough times. Now, coming to this question of linking with music and mental health. Now, before that, we should ask, what do we mean by mental health? So, a general definition, so to say, talks about an individual's ability to function well to his or her fullest potential and ability to contribute back to the society to the best possible. And there is a balance of emotion, physical health, and the overall mental health, so to say. The key thing that mental health professionals talk about is, it's not just saying that there are no illnesses, but it's also important to talk about the strengths, the positive mental health. That means, what are the inherent strengths an individual can have? As I mentioned, resilience, ability to bounce back even if I'm put through a challenging time, ability to bounce back even if I felt low after a loss of a dear one, ability to get back and accept situations as they are. So now, where does music come into picture? Music, like how we discussed last time in our previous episode, it's a very strong elicitor of emotion, and it permeates every aspect of our being. So even from our childhood, like even if we were a baby, we may not remember, I'm sure, but as babies, our mothers would have sung to us, and this music that has some calming effect even on infants and all of those. And as we grow up, musical activities, pleasurable activities, mostly associated with pleasurable activities, group singing, or singing in, let's say, when we all meet in a social gathering, we do antakshari, for example. We always associate that with a happy moment, joyful moment, being in social gatherings, and so on and so forth. But in general also, music can manipulate your emotional sense of experience. Now, let's take this pandemic and the lockdown phase. In fact, one of the surveys done by multi-center music neuromusicologists and scientists have shown that they've reported that people started listening to music much more during this lockdown period and used that as to help them to regulate their emotion. So the key thing is emotion. The second is to let go of boredom. So when you're really bored, how much will you keep watching some movie, or how much will you keep doing the same routine thing? Music becomes an activity that kills boredom. That's one thing. Third, if people have been engaging actively in music, let's say uh, somebody's hobby was learning music or playing an instrument, the lockdown period, I think work from home facility has given them some extra time to focus on some hobby, which gives them a pleasurable activity, again has an impact on their emotional well-being. So, in that sense, it has an impact on your positive mental health, makes you feel relaxed, can bring about some positive emotion thoughts. The other thing, when we talk about mental health, even WHO reiterates that, is talking about spiritual health. So, if any spiritual pursuit, can have an impact on positive mental health. And now we all acknowledge, right? Music is so closely interwoven with religious activities across cultures. I mean, not just in Indian music, and more so if you talk about Indian music, classical music, it has a lot of interconnection with the spiritual aspect of oneself, right? The spiritual path. So, in that sense, music can kind of somewhere trigger or activate this pursuit about going beyond what experiences that we are having, and more so often the grief reaction people are experiencing, right? We are loss of someone. Often the question are very existential question: why me? Why did I lose this person? Why did I? What happens? These are some existential questions that keep popping up in these difficult times.
You know,
So,
uh,
yeah.
you very well said about. First of all, I think it's a really an identified issue today, and it's more profound now given the current situation.
Mm,
Um, you know, now because a lot of students, right? A lot of students, they could be uh, right from age of, I can tell you from the age of 4, because they've never seen schools at all. They're all doing online, just so unusual.
mm,
And uh, they're also undergoing a lot of stress. Like for example, I met a parent last week, and they were talking to me about their child undergoing depression, right?
mm,
And they were unable to kind of bring him to reasoning, and also what to do next, right? Because they cannot do anything much at all, because the social interactions have stopped, even between children. So, you know what is that one needs to do, especially when they have this kind of depressions in children, Dr. Shantala?
See, depression in children, if it's a clinical depression, I think the parents will have to seek professional help. I do not know really, I can't give a general statement about this particular child specifically. But it's also important that this difficult times have actually, as I said, we should focus in toto about how do we build this resilience in people. That's the key thing. So right now, whatever we say during this lockdown, please, do activities that can keep yourself engaged. Like for example, we are talking about music today as an activity. Similarly, music of course can't be an answer to everything, right? We know that. But as mental health professional, I would say it's important that as adults or the parents or the family members look into issues as to how we can do activities that can have benefit on our positive mental health. So even with children, for example, it's important in nuclear family there's hardly any social interaction. But yes, the boon is that luckily we have internet now, we are able to go online. Imagine this situation if the internet wasn't there. So at least the children are having online classes. They're getting to see some faces somewhere. I feel that many children cope pretty well. It's few who will have difficulty. Definitely, even in adults, that's what we see. Most of them will cope well, depending each one reacting in a different way, depending on various factors. Their personality, their previous experiences, their ability to, as I said, how what kind of reserve do they have, emotional reserve do they have, what kind of social support that do they get. So all these factors matter a lot. I think it's high time that we talk about mental health issues, we talk about activities and things as a society that we can do to promote this health issue, mental health issue.
Right. This is an important point of discussion, because if you really see, while I think a lot of us recognize and we are talking about it now, in terms of depression, mental health, and so on and so forth, but I can tell you, at least 70 to 75% of people who are undergoing, I won't say depression itself, but some stress, anxiety,
Yes.
whatever. It's easy to say that, okay, listen to music, have your activity, and so on and so forth. But uh, if you really see, they're also very shy of bringing this out, fundamentally because of being judged, right? Because one would be judgmental when people talk about certain things, especially related to mental health issues.
Mm.
So one point you brought out was in terms of talk about it. So I'm saying, first of all, we're talking about society, but it should start at from a family and at home, right? So, what is your recommendation of how people need to address the, Dr. Shanti?
First of all, not shy away. I have had clients where the parents are not ready to listen to their own children, and they would like to brush it aside and say it's just a temporary feeling. It's not really depression. It's okay. You don't have to worry. Just do this and it'll go away. So many a times it's important to be good listeners. So even as parents or whoever it is, to be good listener, to accept, as you said, non-judgmental way of listening to things. The sad thing is, we're all human beings, and we feel that there is a way of patronizing things, that everything will be fine, just don't worry, just go on with what's happening. No, it's not really so. So that's the reason why um, it's important for people who think their stress levels, or if their feeling of low mood is beyond what they can really handle, to seek professional help, because it's important that you meet the trained person. It's just like, you have fever, you may take some crocin or paracetamol, your fever may come down, but if it continues, first thing you'll do is to go and meet the doctor, right? And to get evaluated whether it's just simple fever or something else. It's just like that. So it's important for family members, first of all, or even in general as friends or relatives, not to kind of belittle a person's emotional experiences in that sense.
No, since this is my favorite topic, especially of relating mental health issues, and I think you discussed this even in your previous episodes, and uh, this is something that is not only a strong belief; it is reality in terms of music really having an impact on our moods and emotions. Like especially you did mention about how you hearing sad songs has such a greater impact, right?
Mm.
So one of my questions is, how does one kind of really know, yeah, I'm feeling neutralized or I'm feeling better listening to music when somebody is in a state of anxiety?
If they're extremely anxious, this is my experience, if they're extremely depressed, extremely anxious, just asking them to listen to music may not really work. So it's important that first they seek professional help, and then slowly music is also introduced. But if the individual is already using music, some people naturally use music listening as a way to cope, as a way to regulate their emotion, then personal choice can be helpful, no doubt. The only thing that people have to keep in mind, if I'm feeling low, extremely low, and keep listening to some music which makes me further depressed, then it doesn't have a benefit. How do you know that you're feeling better is whether you're able to get back to your day-to-day activities, whether you feel that you're feeling good. So it's a subjective experience. So this is true for, imagine any mental health issues are like on a continuum. Okay, so we all, as I said, we all go through ups and downs. So it's that last portion or the extreme portions, as I'm saying, who may need professional help, and many of them bounce back, and are able to cope with some help, with little help, I would say. Yeah.
So, of course, there are many means and ways, and like you said, people have to seek professional help, right? Who are going to help them kind of at
Yeah.
least manage the current state of mind.
Yeah.
Do you think? What is your experience? Do you think online counseling is effective, Dr. Shantala? Because in today's time, You have even your appointment with your healthcare workers or online. But does counseling, especially when you have mental health issues, does an online counseling really help?
When there is no choice, definitely something is better than nothing. And if the issues are, and if the key thing in any therapy or in any psychological or mental health, when you're interacting with a mental health professional, a rapport is extremely important. So building this rapport between the therapist and the client, the first few sessions are very, very important. So if there is a session that happens in physical meeting, that's good. But during this pandemic, when such a situation is not possible, even an online session can be really, really, yeah. And that's what we've been doing actually at MANS. Many of my colleagues are doing online therapy. It has all gone online now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of times people keep asking on effectiveness. So that's where my question was: is it really effective? See, I think anxiety gets built that way. Whether it's going to be possible, whether am I going to get help? Is this going to help, and so on and so forth. Dr. Shantala, thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you. Your knowledge is really, really invaluable. And thank you so much for this topic. And we will keep talking again. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Pleasure.